In today's video, we're going to be looking at opinions and justifications in Spanish. You're going to learn how to use them. But before we start learning on how to use them, I'm first going to tell you why they're important in Spanish. Think about your everyday language you use in English and how often you say things like, oh, I love that, I like that, I think that's great, I'm mad about that, or I'm crazy for this. It makes your language in Spanish sound a lot richer, a lot more natural, and it's just a lot more fun if you can use opinions and justifications. Obviously, there are lots and lots of ways of forming opinions and justifications in Spanish, but today we're just going to look at a couple of them, just so you have the building blocks and that you understand the basics behind it, and then you can go off and play with the language yourself. The first thing we're going to look at is opinions, then we're going to move on to justifications. So, I'll talk you through how to form them and then when to use them. So we'll look first at 3 positive opinions that I think are quite common and quite nice and easy to use, and then we'll look at 3 negative ones. So the positive opinions, the first one is me gusta. Me gusta means I like. Then you have me encanta, which means I love. And then if you're getting really, really, really into whatever you're talking about, you could say estoy loco por. Now the reason we've got this a here is because loco is an adjective. So the loco needs to agree with whoever's doing the talking. So if it's a girl talking, you need to say estoy loca por. And if it's a man talking, it's estoy loco por. And that means I'm crazy for or I'm mad about. So me gusta, the first one here, I like. Me encanta, I love. And estoy loco or loca por. Okay, so 3 negative opinions. Odio, which means I hate. Detesto, which also means I hate. And no me gusta, which means I do not like. Now, these are what we call cognates. Odio and detesto are cognates because they look like fairly similar words in English. Odio is linked to the English word odious. If you've ever heard it or come across, odious means hateful. So if someone's described as an odious person, that's not a very nice thing to say about them, but that's odio. Detesto as well comes from the verb detestar, which is to hate or to detest. It looks like detest in English. See, if you cut off that O there, it looks like detest in English. And no me gusta is just me gusta in a negative form. So 3 really easy negative opinions there that you could use in your Spanish. Again, these are really useful and really easy because, you know, detesto, I detest, detesto, fairly similar to the English, so it's nice and easy to remember. So here are the 6 opinions we're going to be looking at today. So we've got me gusta, I like. Me encanta, I love. Estoy loco or loca por, I'm crazy for. No me gusta, I don't like. Detesto, I hate. Odio, I hate. Now would be a good time to pause the video, and maybe print off this screen, or maybe jot these down somewhere so you've got a record of them. Okay, so moving on, we're going to look at examples of how these opinions are used in sentences. We'll look first at me gusta, and then we'll move on to all the way down to odio. Now, be very careful, even though it's me gusta and me encanta, it's not me estoy loco por, and it's not me detesto, me odio. I'm going to explain why it's me gusta and me encanta in a bit, but just don't get into the habit now of saying things like me detesto down here and me odio over here, because that means I hate myself, and that may not quite be what you're trying to say. But we'll talk about why it's me gusta and not just gusta in a bit. Okay, so me gusta la galleta. Me gusta la galleta means I like the cookie. Me encanta la foca. Me encanta la foca. La foca is a seal. Me encanta la foca. I love the seal. Estoy loco or loca. Estoy loco por los conejos. Conejos are rabbits, so I'm crazy about rabbits. Not something all of you might say, but no me gusta el chocolate. No me gusta el chocolate. I don't like chocolate. So you can see a really easy way to turn me gusta into, which means I like, into a negative. Look at that. just put the no in front of the me. Be careful, it's not me no gusta, it's no me gusta. Well done. And finally, detesto el español con Fernando. I hate Spanish with Fernando. And sorry, this is finally, odio salir con mi abuela. Odio salir con mi abuela. So I hate to go out with my grandmother. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at how to use me gusta and me encanta. So we've looked at 6 opinions, 3 positive, 3 negative. We're going to look at how we use me gusta and me encanta. So first off, I need to say that the reason we're looking at these 2 verbs in particular is because they don't actually mean I like. I may have lied to you there, so soz. Spanish doesn't actually have a verb for to like there is in French, j'aime, or there is in English, I like. It doesn't have one. And I've been looking into this, and some of the people who are good friends with Fernando have been looking into it too, and we can't seem to figure out why. What I think and what we seem to have come up with as the most likely reason is because of the Latin connection with Spanish, because as you know, the 3 of the main influences on Spanish are Latin, Greek, and Arabic. And there's similarly, as far as I'm aware, no verb for to like in Latin. You say me placet, which literally means it is pleasing to me. I think the verb's meant that way. So in Spanish, me gusta does not mean I like. It means, hang on, I'm going to annotate this. It means it is pleasing. This is it is pleasing to me. So that me is actually what we call a pronoun. That me means to me, and gusta means it is pleasing, which is why you'll see it's gusta and not gusto. Me gusto means I like myself, or I am pleasing to myself, which is not quite the right thing that you're trying to say. So it actually means it is pleasing to me, not I like, but it's used as we would use I like in English. You there, conjugate that verb. Right, so we've seen me gusta la galleta. Me gusta la galleta, so this a is the 3rd person conjugation. The he, she, or it. I put 3rd, I'm not going to write out persons, it's going to take ages. 3rd person conjugation of the verb gustar in the present tense. If you're a bit confused as to what that means, go and check out Fernando's video on the present tense, and that'll all be cleared up and explained. So it is pleasing to me, and the reason it's it is because it's la galleta. Look, there's only one cookie for the Cookie Monster. So it is pleasing to me. Okay? Now, if you want to say more than one thing is pleasing to you, so you can see here there's lots of, where's it gone? You see here there's lots of cookies there. What you're actually saying here is you're not saying it is pleasing to me, you are saying they are pleasing to me, because look, it's las galletas. So me gustan las galletas. They, literally, the cookies, they are pleasing to me. Okay? So with the verb gustar, it's a bit odd. When you want to say I like, and if you're only talking about one thing, you say me gusta, which is that. But if you're talking about more than one thing, so you're pluralizing it, you say me gustan, and you put an N on the end of gusta. Please note that the me hasn't changed, so you can see it's me, and that's because it is pleasing to me. Now, I know what some of you are going to be thinking. You're going to say, okay, I can get my head around that much, but how do I say they are pleasing to me? How do I say he, she, or it likes? Well, that's nice and easy. All you do... Hang on. You say... Okay, sorry, computer's frozen. You say... Le, that's an L and an E, gusta. G-U-S-T-A. Hey, I need to invest in a proper mouse. Sorry about that. So you say le gusta. So this le is to him, to her, or to it, and it follows the exact same pattern. So if you were talking about more than one thing that was pleasing to him, so let's say Fernando, you'd say le gustan las galletas. Another thing that you might wonder is if you're saying things like Fernando likes the cookies, can I just say Fernando gustan las galletas? The answer, I'm afraid, is no. You have to say Fernando le gustan las galletas. Okay? Le gustan las galletas. Yeah, so hopefully that's cleared that up with for he, she, or it. Another thing you might be thinking is, well, if you just say le gusta la galleta, how do you know if it's he, she, or it? That is an excellent question. And as always in language, remember KKK, context is king. So hopefully if you look around the sentence, if you look before it, after it, it should be clear as to who's doing it, if it's a he, she, or it. And if it's not, you can just put a pronoun. So you can say, le gusta la galleta, and then you say a ella or a él. A, the letter A, and then él, el, and or for him, and for her it's a ella. So le gusta la galleta. Le gusta a él la galleta. It's a little bit confusing, don't worry. If you check out the forums on wordreference.com, there's some fantastic explanations of how it works there. Last thing to say about me gusta, or probably second last thing actually, is if you want to say I like to do something, so in this case, I like to eat cookies, you leave the second verb, me gusta being the first verb, you leave the second verb in the infinitive, so you do not conjugate it. If you're worried about what infinitive means and conjugating means, go and check out the present tense video. It's explained in wonderful depth and clarity there. So you say me gusta comer las galletas. You don't say me gusta como las galletas, because that would mean I eat cookies. So if you think about it in English, we don't conjugate the second verb. We don't say I eat the cookies. We say I like to eat the cookies. Exactly the same in Spanish. Okay, and then finally, to put it in the negative is really, really easy. You just put no in front of it, in front of the me. You don't say me no gusta, you say no me gusta. And then equally, no me gustan, if it's plural. No me gustan la galleta. No me gustan las galletas. Gusta is a bit of a tricky verb. Hopefully you can see now why you don't say me odio, because odio is I hate. You're doing the action. It's not it is hateful to me. You're saying I hate, so you don't need to say me odio, and you don't need to say things like me detesto, unless of course you are going through a period of particular self-loathing, in which case feel free to say that. So how do you say me encanta? The really good news about me encanta is the way it works is exactly like the way it works with me gusta. So if you've got your head around me gusta, so one air high five for you. And you'll be glad to know that me encanta works in exactly the same way. So me encanta la foca, it's singular, so it's not, so that's how you say it. Nice and easy. Me encan, but look, for the plurals, me encantan las focas. So that much, in that way you can see it works exactly like me gusta. If you're talking about one thing, it's me encanta. If you're talking about more than one thing that you love, it's me encantan. Okay? Right. And you guessed it, well done. For the infinitives, if you're saying I like to do something, you say me encanta comer las focas. So you don't need to conjugate this verb here. So as you can see, it pretty much works exactly like gusta in both the plurals and with the infinitives. So that means I love to eat seals. It doesn't mean I eat seals, because you wouldn't say that in English and that doesn't even make sense. It doesn't make sense in Spanish. So it's me encanta comer las focas, not me encanta como las focas. Okay, so that's opinions done. Feel free to pause the video now if you want and go back and just consolidate your learning on that. and just check that you've understood everything that we've gone through. The gusta and the encanta can get a bit confusing, so it would probably be worthwhile just going over that one more time if you need to. But if not, then let's move on to justifications. Okay, all that justification means is give a reason. That's all it means, is just give a reason. So I like to eat seals because they are tasty, or I like television because it's funny, something like that. Just give that justification, so give that reason along with your opinion. Remember, opinions don't always have to be positive. You can say why you hate something or why you don't like something. So let's look at the seals example. I love seals in Spanish, you know, is me encantan las focas. Remember, don't forget to put that N on the end of encanta because it's las focas. It's seals, it's plural. And remember, it means they are pleasing to me. It doesn't mean I like or I love. Although you can see here that the closest translation we have in English is I love. The reason we do that is because if you said seals are pleasing to very pleasing to me, it just wouldn't make sense in English. It doesn't sound right. I love seals because they are very tasty. So remember, look at that. Look, I've color coded it for you. So I love, me encantan, seals, las focas, because, porque, they are very tasty, son muy deliciosas. Now, so a couple of things here you need to pay attention to. First off is, look, me encantan las focas porque son muy deliciosas. Remember, your adjectives have to agree in number and gender with the noun that they are describing. That just means that if the noun, that's the naming word, if what you're describing is feminine and plural, and we know it's feminine and plural because it's las, your adjective needs to make sure it agrees, which is why it ends in as. So las focas blah 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 deliciosas. Don't fall into the trap, by the way, of assuming that just because it ends in a that it's feminine. There's lots and lots of false friends out there that do end in nouns that do end in a that aren't feminine, so don't assume. A good thing to do, by the way, is always check. Go to wordreference.com and have a look there to see if it's masculine or feminine. So, me encantan las focas porque son. That's another potential pitfall there. It's not S. S means it is. So you wouldn't say I love seals because it is very tasty. Seals, where are we? Sorry, seals is plural, so it's they are very tasty. Okay? Sorry, that's supposed to say true. We are delicious. This much is true. So, think of this as a formula to help you on how to put together opinions and reasons, opinions and justifications in Spanish. First, you add your opinion. Next, you add your noun. Then you add your porque, which means because. Then you add your is or your are, depending on if it's plural or not. And you can see here, the example I'm using, they are plural, so I've gone with son. And then you add your adjective. So a nice, easy formula for how to get your opinions and your justifications in your Spanish. So opinion plus noun plus porque plus is or are plus your adjective. Me encantan las focas porque son muy deliciosas. It might be useful to pause at this stage to just jot down that formula, or even print the screen off. Because don't forget that understanding and learning are slightly different. So you may understand how it works now, but the way you learn it is through practice and through hard work. Speaking of which, look at that, it's almost like I planned it. 10 sentences here, really easy sentences. Just have a go, translate them into Spanish. So I started off nice and easy with I like my house. And we're getting down to a little bit more complicated with Jordan hates watching TV because it is stupid. Remember, the key thing for this is to see if you're getting your me gusta, me gustan, le gusta, le gustan right. again, go to wordreference.com. That's the best place to find out this new vocab. So if you want to know what school is, if you want to know what chocolate is, cookies you've already seen, but if you want to know what funny is, if you want to know what stupid is, go and look at it there. By the way, just so you know, proper nouns in English, so family guy, you can translate it to padre de la familia, which is what it is in Spanish, but you don't have to. You can just keep it as family guy. So let's have a look at the first one together. Me gusta mi casa. Me gusta mi casa. Nice and easy. Literally, my house is pleasing to me. So to me, it is pleasing my house. Now would be a good time to pause the video to see if you can have a go at doing the other, what we've got, 9. This is just a way of checking what you've learned, seeing if you've understood opinions and justifications, and we can go through the answers in a sec. So now would be a good time to pause the video and have a go at these questions. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully you've had a good stab at getting these done. Here are the answers. I'm missing some full stops, so my apologies. I'll just put one there. And down there. Untitled Fernando, you should be better than that. Yeah, so here are the answers. So, Tim no le gusta el colegio. You might have found that one a bit challenging. But this hopefully was nice and easy for you. No me gusta, me encanta, me gustan, me gusta. So yeah, and also watch out your agreements. Estúpida, because it's la televisión. Family guy, we're going to go with masculine, so it's gracioso. Okay, well done. That's it for opinions and justifications, and that's the end of this video. Awesome sauce, well done. You have baked the loaf of understanding in the oven of learning. So well done, you.